We are now live. All right. So on the screen, they're going to be seeing the anime industry and the delays and all that stuff we were going to talk about last week. But like another spoiler and teaser, we're not going to talk about it this week. I know you guys are
I
like,
don't know if we'll ever talk about it, to be honest with you, because it's getting older and older in the news, and so
fair
I
enough.
don't know.
I mean, it's kind of like we're going to talk about.
It's pretty basic. Like there's just a crap ton of delays from Aniplex, which is one of the major. I believe they run A1 Studios over in Japan, and they produce a lot of anime, and so they've had delays because of quote unquote COVID, and that's leading to delays. Now, I think it's a long time coming because it sounds like the business practices, and here we are talking about it, but it sounds like the business practices are such that they're real slave drivers when it comes to the production of a lot of these shows, and so everything's just kind of gone off the rails, and they're trying to pick it back up.
I see.
So, yeah.
Well, it's pretty basic, I guess. But um, I was gonna say it kind of reminds me of when we were gonna talk about A Christmas Carol at the end of the year last year, but we didn't have our crap together, so we didn't end up talking about it. But I guess we thanks for that quick quick refresher, explanatory
TLDR, I guess. Or
yeah,
too long, didn't listen.
it's funny. Too long, didn't listen. I mean, I feel like that most of the time when I'm just like, I just go on and I can't stop because I can't find a good off ramp.
I mean, you got that can't stop, won't stop attitude.
Why did you? How did you? What made you even? What?
We know, buddy. We know.
Can't stop, won't stop. What, dude?
You can't stop, won't stop, nothing.
Oh, also, dude, I had the most interesting. So I'm now more and more convinced that I'm a baby whisperer. Honestly, I know it's just a hard pivot.
Okay.
Like honestly, so yesterday I jiu-jitsu. So I'm prepping for a competition at jiu-jitsu tournament coming up in about 2 weeks. Wish me luck. After class last night, I was exhausted because I'm also cutting weight. So I'm midweight. So like I'm now my goal weight, which is 186. So good. Anyway, after class, there's just a couple. So they have a kid. Just usually had a kid, and the kid is because I guess sidebar here. I've noticed that babies are either sleepers or they're eaters. They can be both. So either they eat and they don't sleep, or they sleep and they don't eat. Right? So this
I
kid
can confirm that. I have way too many younger siblings to not confirm that, to be honest with you.
And so this kid is an eater and not a sleeper. So when he'd want to go to sleep, he'd fight to sleep for like hours, and he'd be miserable. He's like, but he doesn't want to close his eyes to sleep anyway. So the mom went to go get out of her kimono, I guess as we call it, pajamas, and then she gave the baby to the dad, and the dad is a brown belt, so he's trying to explain something to someone else, and then he gave the baby to me. And dude, as he put the baby in my hand, baby just looked up and just stared at me for like a good 5 minutes. Just stared like deep into my eyes, didn't blink, didn't even look to the left or to the right, and just stared. And then next thing I started rocking baby, and I walked around, and bro, baby was out like a light, dude. And then the mom came back and she was like, "Did you put my baby to sleep?" I was like, "Didn't choke the baby."
Oh, jeez.
Okay, but because in jiu-jitsu, when they say you put me to sleep, put someone to sleep, it's like,
Yes, I'm aware of the joke, but that's just dark when it comes to a baby.
I'm just saying, okay, I said didn't choke the baby, but I just caressed the baby to sleep, and the baby fell asleep in my arms, okay, and after staring deep into my soul for some reason. So yeah, that was a fun thing that happened yesterday.
I have a sort of related story.
Okay, do tell.
It wasn't a baby, but it was still very odd. So my grandmother ran, I should say, a food stall, and she would go to rodeos and fairs and stuff like that and serve food. Being her grandchild and free labor, she would recruit me and my siblings, or my siblings and I rather, to help her cook and serve food and all that stuff. I, being the oldest, was in charge of flipping burgers. And so I'm outside this barn cooking burgers, horses and stuff like that, just walking all around. Like, it's really good. Like, some government official didn't walk up and go, that's not sanitary at all. Because, yeah, it wasn't.
You guys are somehow breaking all the laws right now.
Yes.
Child
actively.
labor. Yeah.
Yep. So, this guy was coming to the door with a horse, right? And he was looking for his kid or something like that. And he looks at me and goes, hey, hold this. And he hands me the lead to this horse. And so I'm flipping burgers with my left hand while holding a horse with my right.
How old were you at this time? 12?
Like 15 or something like that.
Jeez, dude. So, I mean, I guess this is what the question we all have in our heads is like, did you end up...
I mean, he came back eventually.
Did you end up frying the horse? Sorry.
No, he didn't. The horse didn't care because, I think it was cow, so they're rivals. And, horses, like, we have this faux pas in this country about eating horse for no apparent reason.
And, I mean, would you eat horse?
Yeah.
What delicacy would you not eat? And I'm just saying, I'm adding a wide variety of things here. Okay.
Okay. I would not. So just centering on the West here, because you go to like Southeast Asia, it's like tarantula is a delicacy.
Yeah.
I'm not eating bugs. Thank you very much.
Right. So
like I wouldn't eat snail, for example. That's popular in France.
Yep. Popular in Nigeria too, by the way.
Yeah. No snail. I'm good.
That's it.
Yeah. I think
How are you
for
with
more
seafood?
Like, I'm not a huge fish guy. I love crab. I'm just too lazy to eat it, because then you have to take the hammer and it's a pin.
I just had the weirdest... You said, I'm not a huge fish guy. I just had the weirdest image pop into my head of a huge...
Do I really even want... Do I want to know?
I mean, it's a huge fish guy. Anyway, I just imagine you with the beard and like, looking the crazy.
What is this, a One Punch Man villain?
I mean,
it's just a regular dude, just a fish head.
We're just like, oh hey guys, and just nonchalantly just walking down the street, like.
No, I gotta just shout randomly, "Nani!"
Oh God! Stop. Okay, look, I know we run an anime YouTube channel, but dude, that Nani is too much. Okay.
Nani?
I just had shivers run through my spine. That was weird. Stop. Oh, speaking of weird, okay, dude, I was like, I texted you this week. I'm like, yo, hey man, could you watch this episode of Kaguya-sama Love is War?
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know, get past that episode, whoever was watching it, so that way I can actually, because look,
okay,
listeners can weigh in on this. Okay, it's not weird for me to know your anime watch history.
Okay, it's like me walking in your house and saying, hey, could you not walk around in your boxers? Okay,
why would you?
I walked into your house. You're looking at my watch list.
No. Okay, look. It's not your watch. I mean,
it's my watch list.
It kind of is
your
watch list.
I paid for the subscription.
Yes, agreed. However, I'm now attached to your anime.
You're a parasite. Is what you're saying.
Basically, I'm leeching your data. I'm getting your data.
You are a parasite.
No, I'm paying for High Dive too. Okay, it's a fair trade here.
It is not a fair trade. High Dive is crap.
Well, I mean, you could prefer High Dive and I could prefer Crunchyroll. It's like it's a side conversation. My point with this is, I have gotten all your anime watch data, okay, and I've analyzed it and I have it so linked up to my ecosystem that whenever you watch something and you like it, I get a recommendation for that thing, okay? And if
and I recommend Kaguya-sama, you have not watched it yet.
Agreed. And so once You just watch something
Okay.
that
So the problem you're having is with that particular episode
no,
because it is
it's with the
Shirogane and Kaguya looking at each other soulfully,
yes, but my like
and
it's
romance
on the
makes you
front.
uncomfortable.
No, well, okay, dude, you have to get so deep and dark into my deep emotions, but it's like it's in the front page of my phone. So
Okay.
if I unlock my phone, people look at my phone like, what the heck is this guy
Well,
watching?
what? That's
Dude,
the least of your
I
concerns.
have a system, okay? I have a
You
system.
have a system.
I'm a
You
data.
are the Karen next door. Hey, could you like trim down your tree a little bit?
Look, I'm a data analyst by trade, I guess. Okay, and so I'm itching for data everywhere, and your
He's a
data
literal
is
bean counter.
your data is the most interesting thing to me. Okay, especially your anime watch data is wildly interesting to me, which means I've been. That sounded weird. I'm sorry. That
Okay,
sounded
it's
so.
wildly interesting. So, I want to go on that one real quick.
Okay.
Like, describe that to me. Like, what do you see in the data?
Well, okay. First of all, it's weird because you watch stuff a lot, which is interesting. And
Yeah.
but I'm guessing
We had a great discussion last week, but tech
technical issues. Yeah, but the reason I say, but I know that's I can't really read too much into that because your brother also watches on there, and I also watch on the same account. So whatever is rewatched, I don't know if it's you or not.
It's usually me.
I mean, so if you've seen a show and I go see that show,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so you kind of.
Sometimes that happens, but yeah.
Oh, speaking of seeing a show, thoughts on Black Clover so far? How far have you guys
It's
gotten?
really good. I'm gonna see if my brothers want to binge a bunch tonight because
Nice.
it's. I enjoy it a lot. It's very much. It's a faster paced
Yep.
Naruto in a sense.
It gets of course. I mean, it gets better.
We've only
Obviously.
watched 2 episodes so far, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not gonna.
it gets way better.
Yeah, it's like second episode. He's like, he can
Do stuff.
actually do something.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a huge selling. Like you see, as the show goes on, like I think it gets better. Like the stakes become higher the more it goes, which is always a good recipe. Oh, also, Mandalorian's back.
Okay. I have lost almost all interest in Star Wars. I never thought I'd say that.
Even in the Mandalorian,
Yeah, to a certain extent.
but you're kind of is it because of how long it took to come back, or you just
I
have
think
other
that,
substitutes?
but it was also like the crappy performance that Disney has been doing with the Star Wars ever since. I'm just like, you have burned me so much.
Oh, is it like with all the spin-offs that are?
All the spin-offs, so like Obi-Wan was crap.
How about the what's not so there's another
Boba Fett was
Boba Fett, that's right.
complete crap.
Okay.
Like they tarnished that character. They lit him on fire.
So is it that you don't want to watch the new season? Is that okay? Is that you don't want to watch the new season because you've been burned too many times, or more like you just have zero interest in watching the new season of Mandalorian?
I kind of just have zero interest. Like I think it was a result of. I think it's mostly for how long it took to come out.
Okay.
To be honest
So
with
yeah,
you.
yeah. So you lost.
But
lost
I'm
it.
less inclined to give it a chance because it's like you guys have been jerking my
see.
chain for
I see. So it's kind of like
years now.
combination of things. Okay. I mean, that sucks, but
Yeah, like okay. I'm not axiomatically saying I will not watch it. I'm just like I'm not gonna get a Disney Plus account, fork over the money, and then watch that series.
I could get one because thank God I'm not poor anymore. But it's like if I'm gonna get one, I wouldn't want to just watch that.
Yeah, that's okay. I guess that's an interesting discussion. Like that. How do you think streaming services are gonna look going forward?
That's deep. Okay. I kind of have to go, but and so I kind of want to start this right now. We can start this next week. I'm so sorry for all the weirdness. I'm traveling tomorrow. I have to pack and prep and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's all good.
But quick answer is how would they look going forward? I think I think it's going to become more like the phone industry, where
Mm.
network effects of, for example, Apple is worth a ton of money, largely based on network effects. So if my friend is using an iPhone, he can text me and his text come up as blue as opposed to green. So I want to get I can FaceTime him, I can join group chats and all that stuff. So there's that network effect in Apple. I think the company that will, I guess the companies that will stream and be successful in streaming in the future will have to, by necessity, take advantage of network effects, because I don't see any other way they can. I don't think they can bring up new shows and be successful based on shows alone. Because now, like even Amazon is doing insanely good shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think any show or any platform that can and utilize it can and finds a way to use network effects, where like, oh, because my friends are using or watching on Disney or something, or maybe Crunchyroll or something like that, I must go watch on there as well. I think that would be best way, I think, to first of all gain customers and to keep them, I think, unless it
I
becomes too
think,
prohibitively expensive to keep them. But yeah.
yeah, I think it's going to solidify because, like, so
Like consolidate, you
it
mean,
was,
or
yeah,
what do
yeah,
you mean
because it was
solidify?
like this weird thing. So I remember when Netflix first came out, it blew my mind because it's like all these shows I could watch on demand for $8 a month, right? And so, and then you had like Amazon Prime and Prime Video, and that came out, and it was like, okay, so there's like two, and then one more or whatever. But then in the past like 4 years, it has positively exploded,
Right.
and it's getting annoying, to be honest with you,
With the
because it's
number of
like,
shows, or the number
well,
of
it's not the
platforms
number
for
of shows.
shows,
It's like, oh, I want to watch that movie.
but I need to
Oh,
get a
what?
subscription.
Yeah, what? Like bizarre plus,
Right.
fill in the blank plus thing do I have to subscribe to do it?
I see. Um. Yeah, this is actually interesting. I want to go multiple different ways with this, but I gotta go. I'm so sorry, man.
It's
Um.
all good.
Thanks, guys, for
Do you
listening.
want to pop back on after you get back, or
That I can do. I can do that for
okay,
sure. Okay.
we can
Cool.
take a 15 minutes break or whatever, how long you need, and
Yeah, 15 minutes. Is it possible to pause on this thing?
I
I'll
don't
just
know.
stop the stream
I can keep talking if you want.
for 15 minutes.
Maybe.
All right. Well, hey guys, you're gonna have
I
him
don't
do
know
a
what's gonna
solo
happen because
episode. If
it's not
he
like I can respond to anyone, but
true, but if he goes off the rails, oh, maybe you can talk about the actual stuff we're supposed to do this week. So,
oh, I can do that. Yeah,
all right, I'll be right back.
maybe. See. And we are alone. So it's gonna be like some weird 3 in the morning, 0 dark 30 radio show that no one listens to. And I do not have the dulcet tones to entertain. But I suppose I can keep talking about what my views on the streaming services is going to become. So I guess going back to the fact that, like, I think it's going to solidify. Back when Netflix dominated, right? You had almost every show you can imagine, every movie you can imagine being on there, with very few exceptions. Oftentimes they would cycle them through and all that stuff, but generally speaking, you can get what you wanted. This was awesome, especially for someone like me who grew up pretty poor. My family could automatically afford to fork over $8 a month for effectively endless entertainment. But now with the presence of so many different streaming services, it's prohibitively expensive to have that same level of access. So you can kind of do what I do and just pick one service that you pay for, and that's Crunchyroll for me because I'm a huge weeb and I'm not really too interested in live action stuff. That's what I do. And I can afford the $8 a month or whatever it is for Crunchyroll. But if you start adding on like Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, it starts stacking up to where you're effectively paying a cable bill. And that is going that's a problem, I think, to me. Um I could foresee a situation wherein they start requiring annual payments instead of just a monthly payment. This is for the reason that a lot of people will just pay for the month, watch whatever the heck they want to watch, and then jump ship. And I think that's going to be a. I think what's going to happen is these companies are going to start getting more and more, how should I say, litigious in what they do to squeeze as many monies from the customers as possible. And the problem is there is a market cap, right? um Netflix keeps trying to expand their market, and it's like there's only so many people who are going to reasonably uh buy into your service. And so you have to somehow find a different way to create a product that they want. And I'm not sure what they'll do on that one. um So it's like it seems to me like a product like Amazon Prime is infinitely more useful to people because, for example, you get benefits of better pricing, cheaper shipping, free shipping, etc., etc. If you're a Prime member, as well as having access to Prime Music and Prime Video, that's like a good package. But I don't know what tech companies like Netflix are going to do when all they have is just entertainment. So that remains to be seen. In insofar as anime is concerned, I am actually getting very, very annoyed because you have a lot of good anime coming out on Netflix, and it is in the colloquially termed Netflix jail. And I'm too cheap to fork over the money to go and see them. And so there are certain shows like Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Komi-san Can't Communicate that are just in perpetuity stuck in Netflix jail. Now, could I fork over the cash and watch them at some point? Sure, but it's just another expense to add on to an already lean budget. And I suppose that the coming recession, whenever the heck it's going to hit, is going to make this a whole lot worse for these companies. So, yeah, that's my general opinion of what's going to happen with the streaming services. They're all going to solidify into a couple of big ones, and I think our bills are going to start looking a whole lot more like cable bills than not. So, yeah. What else should we talk about here? Hmm. Well, he. Oh, yes, I shall share my screen. What uno momento? I am stupid with. Oh no, what did I do? Ah, this is a complete and utter failure on my part. I don't know what we're doing. Hmm. Well, because he did not exit out of his share screen, I don't think I can very easily do it. So I'm just going to read this article that I have up. And yeah, we'll just do it from there. So you'll just have to trust and not verify that I'm actually reading the article. That's always fun. So the title of the article that we have up is from Bounding into Comics, and it is titled Anime Industry Insider Reveals Why Multiple Series Are Suddenly Going on Indefinite Hiatus. This is a bit older, it's written back in January, but we're still feeling the ramifications now. And so it says, in recent months, a number of anime productions have announced that they will be going on indefinite hiatus due to local outbreak of COVID-19. But according to an industry insider, the effects of the virus are only half the story. And that's what we were saying earlier, that this is kind of a long time coming, and that the COVID is kind of more of a symptom and not the underlying cause, shall we say. So, anyways, continuing. The first series to announce such a disruption in its schedule was The Beloved Uncle from Another World, whose production team announced on September 2nd, 2022, that further episodes of the isekai comedy have been put on hold due to a number of people on the team infected with the new coronavirus. And this, yeah, I remember this back in, well, as said, September happening. And I wasn't really watching the series because I think it's on Netflix. But it just all of a sudden said it was on indefinite hiatus, and this is all the way. We're in March now, and there's still no word of what's going on with this series. And I don't know if it will come back or not, because I suppose a detrimental effect to the series is going to be the fact that all the hype and the following that it built up is the balloon's been popped, so to speak, because it just went off the rails. And I don't know if they'll be able to recover from that, but maybe they will. Next up was Sony Music's animated idol project Unite Up, which revealed its break on January 21st, 2023. And yeah, so a lot of the series is like, I thought Uncle from Another World was just kind of the random one that was gonna just happen. But all these series has started dropping like flies just recently. And so it's like, I'm really wondering what was actually going on with Uncle from Another World, for the fact that you only had one show go on hold while all the rest went off without a hitch. But then all of a sudden in January, that's when everything started going off the rails. Continue on. Due to the impact of the spread of the new coronavirus, COVID-19, on the video production schedule, we have decided to postpone the broadcast and distribution of episode 4 and beyond, wrote Studio Cloverworks. Next up was the animated adaptation of Yoko Taro's eponymous video game Nier Automata version 1A. Its production team at Aniplex's A1 Production informing fans of the delay on January 22nd, 2023. So basically the same day as Cloverworks announced theirs. Due to the impact on the video production schedule caused by the spread of the new coronavirus, COVID-19, we have decided to postpone the broadcast and distribution of episode 4 and onward, wrote the production team in a statement shared to the series' official website. Therefore, the broadcast of episode 1 to 3 will be replayed on and after January 28th. They added, the broadcast and distribution schedule for episodes 4 and beyond will be announced on the official anime website and official Twitter soon. This is something else I've noticed, is that they're basically buying more time by just replaying the episodes. So basically, it's not like the break is going to be enough, maybe, to catch up. But they're going to try to catch up by just replaying the episodes they've already have released. And I don't know if it'll be enough. Maybe. Maybe not. I hope so. Because that'll suck if they've replayed all the episodes. But then, we're still on hiatus because we can't catch up. Continuing on. The outbreak even claimed an ecchi casualty. On January 23rd, Studio Connect revealed that Ayakashi Triangle anime would be following in Uncle and Tubi's footsteps. Thank you for your continued support of the TV animation Ayakashi Triangle. Due to the delay in the video production schedule caused by the spread of the new coronavirus, COVID-19, Connect confirmed, we have decided to postpone the broadcast and distribution. English, Cressman, English. And I just doxed myself again. We have decided to postpone the broadcast and distribution of episode 5 and onward. That sounded rough. Then on January 24th, Studio Pine Jam, I've never heard of them, regretfully notified fans that the same fate had befallen the anime adaptation of Nin Yukamori's Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. This one ticked me off. Not in like I blame the animators or whatever thing, but I really am enjoying this series. I highly recommend Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. Very wholesome, very uniquely animated. It's almost like it's kind of calling back to early 2000s anime, actually. And so I highly recommend the series, and I really hope it can come back this April. And as the article says, same deal as the rest of the companies have said already. This one is supposed to re-air starting with the first episode in April 2023. So in about a month. And continuing on the article, needless to say, the sudden wave of cancellations left anime fans both confused about the state of the industry and concerned over which series could be hit next. The vague statements provided by above, that's not how that's supposed to be written, only worsened the situation, as the holes in these explanations have led some skeptical fans to adhere to the belief that the studios are using COVID-19 as an excuse to buy more time to improve the quality of their respective productions. And this is where the rumors that this isn't just a COVID thing are coming from. And what really makes me suspect that is that this all hit January 22nd and January 23rd, like 3 or 4 in a row. And so I'm wondering what happened there, and I can't really even begin to speculate. But it should be pointed out that a lot of these production companies outsource the animation to South Korea and China. And while the rather draconian COVID-19 lockdowns have been lifted in China, I believe back in November, there's still lingering effects there. Continuing on. In hopes of getting some straight answers on the matter, Bounty into Comics reached out to Japanese director currently working within the anime industry to see if they could provide us with any insight on the situation on the ground. Agreeing to speak with us under the condition of anonymity for fear of their own privacy and job security, this director broke down the real reason behind the slew of anime delays. Nerdigans Inc. I have no idea if I said that right. With studios announcing multiple productions are going on indefinite hiatus due to COVID-19, Western anime fans are concerned and confused with how this happened. Some have even claimed that the studios are using COVID-19 as an excuse to allow for further polishing of their series. What is the real story behind these delays? Director. Regarding the delay of some work of this quarter, this is due to the increased dependence of the Japanese animation industry on foreign countries. Although the problem of this structure has been recognized for more than 10 years, time has passed without improvement. Right here is, going back to what I just said, a lot of these companies rely on places like South Korea and China to do their animation. And so any problems in that, quote unquote, supply chain lead to downward or outward effects, shall we say. I don't know how you would say that. And this has been going on, as the director said, for years. There has been a continued problem with companies overworking artists in Japan itself. And so I can't even imagine how bad things are in South Korea or China, wherein they're obviously not getting paid as much because they've had to outsource. So, continuing on. Director, there has been a complete stoppage of work by Chinese subcontractors due to infection. Animation production, which relied on foreign countries for most of the moving images and finishing touches, has come to a standstill, and there are delays in work due to creators working at home. The structural problems we originally had finally broke down. It is not a problem that can be solved with money alone. Other companies I know are approaching countries other than China and Korea, but it will take more than a few years for them to succeed. And this is, you can relate this to the broader macroeconomic issues, right? So, for example, here in the United States, we recently went through a huge shipping crisis here, wherein goods were backed up, and they still are backed up. And one guy I read who's describing the situation is like, it's like a python swallowing a deer. It takes time for it to get down. And so underlying problems have come home to roost now. And I don't know if these companies are going to do what they need to do to solve the problems. But continuing on, Nerdigan Inc. are the anime studios using the additional time granted to them by these delays to improve the quality of the anime. Director, it requires separating the issues. In the current situation, a grace period of 2 or 3 weeks is only a first aid measure to stop the bleeding. In other words, the video must be completed in time for broadcast. This would be considered separately from quality improvement. So it's not even a quality issue, it's a are we going to get this stinking thing done issue. Continuing. As for the other issues, I'm sure you've heard of some studios telling fans, in order to improve quality, we are postponing the release of the BD DVD. I have no clue what that is. Blu-ray disc? I don't know. That's where such quality improvements will take place. Incidentally, they set aside a budget for corrections, but use up most of it before they get there. Admittedly, the extended schedule will guarantee some quality. I don't know about all this for sure because I'm not sure at that site. I have no clue what he's trying to say there. It all depends on the work site's respective conditions, I think. We are very sorry for all the fans who are looking forward to the work. Nerdigan Inc., a recent Anime News Network article, claimed that throughout the pandemic, there has been a noticeable increase in staff overlap for titles that were supposed to be handled by different sub-teams with the studio, resulting in each production team being spread too thin to keep up with all the work. Is this really happening in the industry? Director, I don't know all the details of the circumstances of the work, but such a practice is routine for industry as a whole. The production companies have been aware of this problem for over 20 years, but they have no intention of solving it because they have to meet a certain sales target, or set sales target rather. They say it can't be helped, and let's fix it before we sell the package. And that's where the article ends. And Sanj is back, and he's eating on stream. Rude.
Hey, I just apologize for the last 15 minutes of him talking. I know I'm.
Yeah, that's that. I do apologize.
I do apology, bro. What?
I do apologies. I speak the English.
And I know I'm the main show. I just the main act of the show. So, and my great character is like it's almost as ripping as my chest. You just called me out, man. Hey guys, here is the sound of applesauce.
Are you eating an entire container of applesauce?
Well, no, it's like 2 weeks worth of applesauce. I know, so I just broke my fast, so you know.
Oh,
I'm cutting weight.
I thought you were just. I thought out while I was reading, you were just chowing down on an entire container of applesauce. I was like, my God.
I would not put that past me. Okay, like
yeah, that's why I was worried.
All right.
That was my reading out louding.
I wouldn't lie. It was
Terrible. I know.
okay. It
I
was
think our
decent.
views are in the negative now.
How is that? How is that possible?
I
Okay.
think people retroactively like took back their views. Like, no,
I
no.
just. Oh wow! So like your reading was so bad that people got back the time they spent listening to you.
Probably. I was trying to replicate like what I've heard other people do when they react to stuff. Like they stop every couple of paragraphs and say something profound, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I got nothing profound to say here, but I gotta say something.
Fair. I mean, it is kind of in a way you're pushing the edges of what you know because
Yeah.
fundamentally it's just you're reacting to a director talking about issues and it's like how much how
Yeah.
profound can you get with it? If you're talking about cultural issues, I probably even have to be here for that kind of conversation because you go ham
Oh
on
yeah.
that and you're very knowledgeable on it too. So
I guess I just gotta. It's an area of improvement, shall we say?
right.
Mm.
Um,
Anyways, I talked to at great length while you were gone about my view on what would happen with the streaming industry. So you want to continue on that conversation?
sure. I guess what's your high level
Well,
synopsis?
my too long didn't listen. Excuse me. Too long didn't listen. Synopsis is, I think these industries are going these services are going to start looking a whole lot more like cable
Okay.
than streaming because it's like I think they're going to start cannibalizing one another,
Okay.
and I think they're going to start. I don't know. Like so, the biggest problem they have is they have a market cap. There's only so many people who are reasonably going to uh, buy their service, right?
Right.
It's the same problem like Meta or Facebook has run into. Same problem that Twitter's going to run into. Same problem with any media company of any type is going to run into. There's only so much of their product you could sell,
So
and
is that a result of the finiteness of the platform or the products they offer or a finiteness of interest on people's end, do you think?
I think the more the latter. So it's like okay, so there's some regions of the world where it's like no one's going to buy from there, right? Like
Right.
Afghanistan, like it's not happening. Sorry.
Hmm.
Um, Netflix banned all of Russia from using Netflix apparently
After
because
yep.
that was a smart business decision. Um, and but a lot of other countries like they have these subscriptions going for like by our standards like $1 or something like that, right?
I see.
It's more expensive there for them because they make less, but
Correct.
by our metrics it would be like $1. So they're just not bringing that much money from these
Oh,
regions.
interesting. So it's almost like it's the same problem that jiu-jitsu is having right now where
Mhm.
American jiu-jitsu is just skyrocketing in skill
Mhm.
and success of moves because we can actually afford instructionals, which are insanely highly priced, but we can afford them, as opposed to
Mhm.
like other like Brazil, for example, where first of all the amount of money they make per I guess per unit energy, so to speak, is way lower due to like
Mhm.
other economic issues like um, total factor productivity, how advanced technologically they are, all that stuff, and so they don't. First of all, they don't have enough. Even when they have money, so to speak, they wouldn't think to spend their disposable income on buying DVD instructionals. Like we have other
Mhm.
things to worry about than instructionals, as opposed to in the U.S. where like most of your basic needs are not taken care of, but you can meet them to the
Yeah.
point that you can actually have the disposable income to actually buy, you know, instructionals. So, you see, and I think that's the point you're making as well with subscription services, where it's like
Mhm.
if it costs me $1 and $1 in Nigerian naira is like 600 naira, for example, like
Mhm.
the the buying power I have is just almost like 60x what the buying power someone else has, and therefore
Mhm.
I'll just treat um, entertainment services just by virtue of that just entirely differently than they would. Is that the point you're making?
to a large extent, yes. But then I think we're getting to the point, even in the West, where there's limits to that, right? I can afford $8 a month for Crunchyroll. I can't afford $8 from Crunchyroll, like $20 from Netflix, however much it is for like Paramount or whatever. So like, effectively, where you're gonna end up is like, oh, $50 a month for all your entertainment. I'm like, I can't afford that. And if you're getting cash strapped for rent, like where do you cut first?
Disposable.
Stuff you
Yep.
don't need,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep. Um. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I do. Although my fundamental instinct is to say that the market will solve for that. So one thing I've noticed about the United States,
Mm-hmm.
right, is that we are very attached to things that have been given from. So once you're giving something to Americans, it's gonna be extremely hard to take it away, right?
Interesting.
So it's like, and not to go political, but the trope we hear in politics a lot is like, when has the government gotten big enough and then shrunk back, or gotten power that it gave back, right? And the same thing, like, people feel where it's like, perfect example of this. There was a couple weeks ago, I was on YouTube and I saw this drum video. And I was obsessed with this drum video. I was listening to it over and like 5 times in one, like back to back to back to back to back to back. And then the next day I woke up to go listen to the song again, watch the video again, and it was gone. And I felt so betrayed. Like, it's like, because
Yeah, that's fair.
exactly before the video came along, my life was perfectly fine. I was doing well. I had no issues. But then once the video was taken away, I was so hurt. I was like, why would you? I felt so like, betrayed by the video going away. I think that is, Americans have that for a lot of things, right? So with entertainment, if I don't see how, I mean, so they will cut off some stuff, but I do think that in the long run, the market adjusts, right?
Yeah.
In the long run, they consolidate, because for better or worse, entertainment is making money, dude. Because a lot of, I mean, let's go society. Let's comment on the culture, but more and more people are spending their time on their phones, TikTok, all that stuff. And so, if entertainment is, if the battle, I guess, if where your eyes are where the money, if the money is where people's eyes are, I do think that companies can, well, they by necessity have to find a way to survive, and thus either provide more value per dollar, or just consolidate in such a way as to make it part of their life, part of the lives of people, basically, and not just make it for only people that have enough money to afford entertainment, kind of thing. What do you think about that?
Yes, I agree. I do think there's a limitation though. So, and what a lot of people are going to have to adjust to is that things aren't going to be free anymore. Yeah, English. Um, because like, so for example, just what was it, yesterday or the day before, Silicon Valley Bank just imploded, right? I'm sure you've read the news on that one. And there's a good chance a lot of media companies just go kaput because of stuff like that, because they're not actually profitable, right? YouTube is every year effectively in the red. Google subsidizes them, right?
Twitter was pretty much going to go bankrupt until Elon Musk bought it.
Yeah, and he's still struggling to make ends meet with that sucker. And so it's like, it sounds obvious, but we just don't get it. It's like you can't make money from free. And a lot of these sites and a lot of these companies have been lying probably to advertisers about their metrics in order to make money. And that's what all of this relies on, is ads. And I don't know about you, I hate ads. I ignore them. I use Adblocker. I use all these things. And when enough people do that, the entire business model of a lot of websites, a lot of companies goes out the window. And so it's like you can't read a Wall Street Journal article without having a subscription. You can't. It pretty soon it's going to start being like that for Washington Post. I think it might already be like that. It's already like that with New York Times. And it's like nothing in life is free, but we've acted like it is for a while.
I don't disagree with that. Although, again, it goes back to the point I made earlier, where it's like it is going to be such a battle to take away things that are free or charge. For example, Twitter Blue. Do you hear about that? Where
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
do you know how many people are paying for Twitter Blue?
Yes, that is. Okay. I guess it's like cryptocurrency. I get it, but I don't.
Right. Well, Twitter Blue is basically think of it as the antidote.
It's a check mark, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're verified. It's all
Right.
that stuff. I'm like, cool. Why would I
What
pay
is the
for that?
exactly. So my fundamental point with this is I don't think you're wrong, because like, you're just basically stating the fact of the matter.
Hmm. But don't
However,
underestimate what people will spend their money on, basically, right?
yes, and also it's like it's going to be like pulling teeth to
Hmm.
take away things that used to be free, like because people feel like now it's a right for them to have this stuff that they've had for free for a long time ago. Like even before people had what they had, they were content. Everyone was fine. Go buy a book, read a book, listen to the radio, whatever. But now that they've tasted freedom, so to speak,
Yeah.
it's going to be like it's going to be insanely difficult to take that freedom away from them. Or
Maybe we're gonna see the rise of hybrid models. Maybe. So I
say
guess
more about that.
So their Daily Wire, for example, has a mixed model where you have a lot of stories that are free, crap ton of ads on them, but they're free. But then you have a ton of stuff behind the paywall, and that's where the good stuff is. And I think that's might be a widespread model. So I think who is it? I think Disney Plus is going to put forward an ad-supported tier, wherein for a lesser charge you can just watch a bunch of ads and be able to um, watch some shows. Now you still have to pay for it, but it's a lesser charge. And then there are other sites like I think Tubi and Free, I think it's called, or whatever, that are completely free, just ad supported. And so I think you might have people will basically have to pay for convenience, but that
Right.
free stuff will still be there.
Right. That's true. It's I think that's not only likely, but that's literally where the market's going at the moment. Like I don't.
Mhm.
I just find it hard to see how companies would take away like what used to be free. I find it insanely hard to see. Like what either they're gonna have to provide more value that people wouldn't bat an eye to pay that money. But if you're gonna offer the same thing, but except you're gonna pay for it now, like it's gonna be an outrage. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's funny how stubborn people are, I suppose, on stuff, because it's like, I guess let's take Disney for example. Like the amount of controversy there've been. Oh, excuse me. The amount of controversy they've been in recently. You would think like at least half the population would have been just like, bump you, we're done. But they still will watch to a certain extent. Some won't. I won't personally because I don't like what they're doing.
But you are in the minority.
I'm in the minority. A lot of people are just like, I don't care. Just let me do what
Yes.
I always done.
Also, okay, I think there is a parallel here to the whole Disney adult thing, right? So it could be that a lot of what the reason that we keep getting like remakes of X is because people are perpetually stuck in the past. I've noticed this recently. So for Christmas, I bought my sister a bag from one of those like big companies.
Was it Louis Vuitton or whatever?
I'm a bong like that, dude. And so
Not quite there, huh?
not quite there, no. And I recently got an ad from because that's another thing I have to talk about. But I don't get why everyone wants my information. Like, oh, give me your phone number or whatever, email.
Yeah.
So I got an ad from one of them basically saying, oh, is Y2K again, and then here's a bag that's reminiscent of Y2K of
Huh.
and if you notice people's styles now, people are like, oh, I want to go vintage. I want to, even one thing I also noticed as well with this is that if you notice when you go to stores, the songs that are playing on the radio are not like popular. I mean, they are some of the mostly popular songs, but it's just like 80s music or
Maybe okay. Maybe I could put forward an argument here.
okay.
Maybe we're in the weird time, anyways, right? So for the past, let's say, 100 years, right? American culture and world culture at large has shifted dramatically. Like, so no decade is alike. So, like, I recently went through the Mob Museum, which is, very awesome museum in Vegas. I highly recommend that museum to anyone who ever goes. You're effectively walking through time, right? It's a history of organized crime. And so you go, like, you look at 50s and stuff like that. They're all dressed in suits and, all that stuff. The typical 1950s fashion. 60s, dress different. 70s, dress really different. 80s, miles away. But maybe think back throughout time, like, how often did fashion really change?
Right.
It changed, right? Like, so historically, speaking as a sort of trained historian, you identify different periods of time that don't have any writing, like prehistory, with the type of artifacts they leave. So, for example, in Japan, you have like the yayoi culture, which is the corded ware culture in Japan. They use ropes to help make their pots. And we identify that time with that style, right? But that lasted centuries. And then the next one was the Yamato culture, and that was distinctly different as well. And a lot of these things are identified through the style of clothing they wear and the pots and the pans and all that stuff that they leave behind, or pans, the pots they leave behind, right? But I imagine historians that look back at this period right now, they might be like, holy crap, every decade's different.
Right.
So maybe we're slowing down.
That is entirely plausible to me. Although I do think
now maybe like the cynical part of me is like, no, people just don't grow up.
Okay, there's a lot of things going on here. I'd like to pull on one thread that, to me, that I think is interesting. Let me know what I think about this.
Okay.
I think the problem with people, with Disney adults and people longing for the past, wearing vintage clothing, going back to Y2K and like all that stuff. I think the reason for this is not necessarily a grasp for an identity, but more like a longing for the present in a weird way, right? Because everything is either futuristic or it's vintage, or it's like 1980s again or whatever.
It's retro or whatever.
It's retro, right? Exactly. And whenever there's a pitch for a specific thing, be it technology or Bitcoin, for example, it's like, oh yeah, it's always the future, always the future, always the future. And other issues with the future notwithstanding, or it's just like, oh yeah, what is it? It says thrift is better for the environment, or like let's buy these collectible cards. Have you seen this rare signed book by this ancient person? In a very real sense, like there is almost a desire to know what is our present, like what is this time, and I think, I think in a very weird way, people are trying their best to to find what that is. But I guess no buts. But and I think and mostly what you're looking is you're looking online, right? And so and if they're looking online, they're looking to the influencers, which is why I'm a firm believer that we've not seen the begin. This is just the beginning of influencer culture. I believe influencer culture is gonna be way more important in the future than you ever can know, right? And this is probably where AI comes in with deep fakes and stuff like that, but we can get to that later. So influencer culture in the future is gonna be an even bigger boom, because in a very real sense, they are helping people define the present moment.
That's fascinating, actually. So, the promise of the internet was effectively everyone all over the world is connected. But what it has done instead, counterintuitively, almost paradoxically, is isolate people more than ever. Because I think it's simple. It's like walking down an aisle looking for a product you've never had to buy before, and then being like, I don't know. There's like 50 billion different brands of all the same dang thing,
right?
And you can't figure out which one you should get
without a recommendation.
And so what do? You go on the default. Like I remember first week of college, I need detergent, so I walked into Walmart. I walked down the aisle and I called my mom.
Yeah.
What do I buy? Because I have no clue what to buy. And it sounds sad, and I suppose it is sad, but it's like, well, humans aren't very good at coming up with new things sometimes.
Right.
And it's hard. Choices are very hard, and I think we've been overloaded with choice. And so we're seeking out what's familiar, what's comfortable, what's safe, and we're sticking with that.
Right. Again,
and that brings with it good things and bad things.
Exactly. And even that is even more evidence of the fact that with more choice comes more desire for someone just tell us what to do, right? And so, which is why influencers are huge and will continue to be huge in the future, because they're like, oh yeah, buy this product. This is a good product. This is buy this protein powder, or buy this, buy this makeup, whatever. Because if you wanted to, by your own mental faculties, actually sit down and go through every single option you have, like you just mentioned, like you'd not even be paralyzed. You'd be dead.
Yeah, well, it's like, so the atheist critique of religion is that, oh, well, you're only this, X, because your parents were Y, or they were X too, right? And I'm like, that's such an oversimplification, because it's like, these things work. So why would you fix it?
Right.
So, like, the old saying is, like, necessity is the mother of invention. That is so true. It's like why, for example, during wars, people are the most clever. Because it's like, you need to survive, so you need to come up with something to survive.
Right.
And if you don't, well, you lose, you die. Okay.
You've just brought me to, I guess, brought us back to anime. Okay. So, last week, I got not a dose, I got an overdose of depression just shoved into my arteries, okay? Because I was watching, so Attack on Titan is now out. It's the final chapters are out again. I guess they're coming out weekly, and then I watched the first two final chapters, basically first year of the new season. And a point, like it was, I don't want to spoil it, but there is a key tension in this new season, which I'm actually excited to see because of how it explores the tension that you just brought up. Basically, I was just like, there is the necessity. Like, there is the necessity. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but anyway, it's like mother of invention. Look out for the new Attack on Titan, because dude, like, that theme is explored in a very interesting way, which I would like to talk about with you when you get caught up and stop being a pansy and just go take your
I
dose of
hate
depression.
it's fire, and I avoid fire because fire bad.
But you're a history major. You live for this stuff. Like you get depression. You got depression for 4 years.
Yes, I just got out of it.
And you can't sit through
should
one
I
episode.
jump right back in.
Also, question: how far back are you? I call season 2 of Attack on Titan.
I'm still season 2.
Okay, I mean,
Like, I'm out of it, man.
would you ever come back to this? Would you ever?
I don't know. I want to watch it.
Okay,
I know
okay, how
it's
about
good.
this?
I know.
I mean, I mean, obviously, you recommended a show to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you watch it if you got a girlfriend? Question.
I suppose.
So it's almost like
I'd watch it if I was sitting with you, I guess.
Oh, so you need someone there to be like, that's crazy, right? Or I guess.
Yeah, or just to be like, are you sad too? Okay.
I see.
Yeah. Because it's like I don't really want to voluntarily put myself through pain.
Right. It's okay.
Alone.
Dude, don't sound like that, dude. Like volunteer percent to pay. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, you're watching a show, boo-hoo. Like there are people, that are dying right now. Okay.
Yes, I know, but it still hurts.
That's fair. But maybe we have to explore. I don't know, because I believe I can sit through the show, right? Because I basically do what you tell me to do, because it's a drug.
My problem is I'll sit there and I'll watch it and then I'll just ruminate on it.
Right. So do I.
And it just echoes and I'm sad.
That is the worst reasoning I've ever heard from you about anything ever.
Okay, you've heard worse from me.
I'm not gonna watch this because I'm sad. That's you.
Yeah, that's a good argument for me.
I mean, fair enough.
Okay, I'm not like your sister. I just need a good cry some days. I'm like, I don't want to cry.
Okay, well, this is now your job. Okay, your job streaming requires you to watch Attack on Titan. Okay, I give you a month to get caught up. Otherwise, I will.
A month? What are you gonna do? Nothing.
Is that too short? Actually, I think that's too short. It'd be like 2 months. Good enough. Take your own advice. Like you tell me to watch a depressing show and then a light show. Oh, speaking of light show, Gamers. Yeah, I started that show.
Yeah, it's funny, right?
It's funny. It's good. Even when they started the show, like they just set expectations and started like going. I guess it'll be up or down from there. It's like, oh yeah, this is the beautiful, idol, athletic person, and then you just put like she loses it all later, and I found that funny because I'm like, okay, I love that because that's good. It's like, okay, now we don't, we actually look forward to the breakdown. Anyway, that's an interesting conversation about what the future of streaming and entertainment looks like. It looks like you have to go, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I suppose.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts, my guy?
I was just gonna say thank you for covering for me there for like 15 to 20 minutes.
I apologize to whoever the heck listens to that.
Oh yeah, we maybe off stream we have to talk about things to do to start, because we have it working now. We have to like start pushing the channel and all that stuff. So yeah, changing the name and all that. Anyway,
I'm just glad we can hear ourselves this time.
Yeah, and I'm glad it looks not stretched out. It's not like it's it looks. Oh yeah, it looks good. And I will say we can actually play like a game on this for a specific section, because I find
it could be real gamers.
Well, we're not gamers. We're nerds who watch anime.
Gamer.
But we can actually. I found a way to do it that it actually works. So,
sweet.
So if you want to do that at some point later, we can do that. Again, thanks for anyone who listened to this at all.
And I'm sorry.
And yes,
we should have more confidence in ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Like
Yeah, we're awesome.
It's gonna get better.
You're welcome. In fact,
if you listen to this right now, like just buckle up, okay? Because it's gonna get way better in the future.
Buckle up, buttercups.
I'm just type in the chat, or I guess leave a comment saying I'm the better host, okay? Just see, count Sanj.
A host that leaves his post.
Say, Say count
Huh.
sign. Jesus. Are you
You can
five?
call me, but
Are you five?
no. The captain goes down with his ship. I stayed with the ship, so I am captain.
Just
Flawless
say
logic.
who's the better host, okay? Thank you. All right.
The
Thank you
one that
guys.
stays with you or the one who abandons you.
Okay, don't say that, dude. Like I didn't abandon you. I just left for 5 seconds. Also,
5 seconds.
is it weird to say love you guys?
Yeah, it would be weird.
I find it weird. I find it interesting that YouTubers say that. I mean, I'm like, thanks. You don't know who I am,
Yeah,
but thank you.
I mean, everything we have is dependent on them, so maybe sucking up would help, but yeah.
So should we say love you guys, or should we just be meta about it? Like, we would love you guys if we actually said that, or actually felt that way.
I would love you guys if anyone was actually watching.
Yeah, it's
That got depressing. Anyways.